The Korumm is one of the new melee weapons added with the new war, and only available to farm after the quest is complete. It's a polearm with an electric twist, but does it hold up to the competition? I'm the engineer, let's solve a practical problem. So let's review the base stats of the Korumm. Its damage profile is 20% impact, 40% puncture, and 40% slash. It has decent critical stats, complemented by high status and a good range. Otherwise though, the only noteworthy thing about the Korumm straight up is its quirk. The blocking attack on any stance is replaced with a single move. This move drives the Korumm into the ground, damaging anything it hits, and then extracts the Korumm, again damaging anything it hits on the way out, and doing a radial attack on nearby enemies. This radial attack functions like a radial slam with no damage fall off, meaning that very few damage boosts actually affect it. Neither crits, pure damage, nor elemental damage improves the effect of this radial attack. You can buff it with faction modifiers, slam bonuses, and Majora's Void Strike of all things, but that will only go so far. The base damage of this radial attack is just over 1000 damage. Now the radial attack also includes a good chance of an electric proc, but it's not a guaranteed status effect. The damage of this proc can only be buffed just like the actual slam, plus it also takes into account electric mods. So suffice to say, this slam attack is a curious exception, but hardly a useful one. Instead, it's slow, weak, and unreliable, certainly against the level of enemy you'll regularly be facing if you completed the new war. Putting the quirk aside then, we can simply compare its core stats to the other polearms. It is somewhat competitive with the top ones, the Orthos Prime and Gwandal Prime. Orthos Prime has higher status chance and attack speed, with slightly higher range. While Orthos Prime loses 10% of the base damage versus the Korumm, it shifts most of that damage over to slash, greatly increasing the slash proc frequency, up from 40% of base to 70% of base. For how important slash procs are, this all puts Orthos ahead, able to deliver slash procs over twice as often for just a 10% damage drop. Gwandal Prime on the other hand loses 1/3 of the status chance versus the Korumm, in exchange for 1/3 higher critical chance and a 0.2 times higher critical multiplier. Gwandal Prime also has a marginally higher range and a 6-second base combo instead of 5 seconds. The base damage on Gwandal Prime is just shy of 8% lower, but again, much of that damage is moved over to slash, giving 70% slash. With Blood Rush and Organ Shatter, the hits from Gwandal Prime are 29% stronger on average than the Korumm's. On the other hand, the Korumm will proc status 50% more often, but as I mentioned with the damage distribution, it'll still proc fewer slash procs per second than the Gwandal Prime. Once again, putting the Gwandal clear ahead for a slash based build. If you're instead going for an elemental build, such as Heat or Toxin, then the Korumm will be able to pull ahead with a higher elemental proc DPS. So overall, the Korumm is strong, but it doesn't really stand out from its competition. For a weapon that first requires you to complete an endgame quest, and then farm a follow-up bounty that's not always available to run, it's a bit shy of expectations. Still, not being the best in category doesn't stop it from being a viable polearm. So if you're happy to give it a try, go for those new bounties. You'll get a roughly 1 in 5 chance of getting the Korumm so long as you manage to complete the bounty with full bonus. Don't forget, you do then also need to farm the Nara Isoplasts. However, if you already have either the Orthos Prime or Gwandal Prime, then the Korumm won't make your arsenal any stronger. That's all there is to say on the Korumm then. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe as well to catch more as it goes live. That's all from me for now though, so as always, perform slam, make sparks, and fight well, Tenno.